Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week I'm so excited to welcome back Stacey to the podcast. Welcome back, Stacey.
Hey, Allie, thanks for having me.
Always so much fun having you on. This time around, we're going to be talking about Good Burger 2. This was like a long time in the making, honestly, from literally the first one in 1997. So we're talking 26 years ago from when this
Right.
came out, which is
Well,
wild.
they had there was a sequel before this, but it was in book form called Good Burger to Go, which I found on some, like, I don't know, thrift store online. So I ordered it, but I haven't read it yet. It's like in the mail, but like, and it was like official, like it wasn't like a unofficial version. So I think it was written by like the people who like wrote the Good Burger script. So which is interesting. Obviously, it's definitely not going to be, I assume, the same as Good Burger 2, but I find that fascinating that they just made a sequel, but in a book form.
I didn't know about that. Oh, interesting. You know what? Because I know actually there were like Kenan and Kel books too. I don't know.
I
Like I
found
think,
that out when I got the Good Burger book.
oh wow. Wasn't there, that's reminding me too, like Clarissa Explains It All, I think had books or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting
I
all this
think
other.
the Strange World of Alex Max or whatever. I didn't
Oh,
read those, but I would see those at like book sales and or not book sales, whatever the Scholastic Book Fair. Yeah, I would see those there and stuff like that. So I guess they like had like episode tie-ins. But the Good Burger 2 wasn't ever like a movie. It didn't exist until they wrote it. So I'm curious to see what that canon is.
yeah, I'm sure obviously it's probably much different, the plot from like what this movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, to my knowledge, it probably picks up after the first movie. Like, I mean, immediately, not like we went and had like 12,000 kids and uh,
Literally. Yeah.
named after condiments. So
That that was one of my favorite scenes. Like I cried laughing with that. All of their names, like this is mustard, this is pickles. You know what was so cute was that that's Kel's actual kids, Wisdom and I,
yeah,
the little kids. I was like, that's
I
adorable.
thought I figured he'd do that, and I looked up on IMDb and I was really excited because I was like, that's so because yeah, no, he has like a few kids, and so that was really cute. I watched Kenan Kel were on like I think Fallon or something promoting the movie, and Kel had shared that like they're watching at the premiere, and like 10 minutes in, his one of his daughters leaned over and she's like, "When's my part coming on?" Which is adorable.
That's I love that too. Like, just whatever, Daddy. I just want to see me on screen.
Yeah, it's like I'm over you. Okay, you had your moment. So
Oh my God. I just love though how all the kids have the exact same Ed hair. That's
yes,
amazing. Even
the
the
same
baby.
outfit.
Oh my God, yeah. The outfit, the baby too, and then also the dog. The dog had the shirt too.
Yep. Well,
Oh,
and with their bait and switch with the Roxanne,
I loved
and
that.
I
Like
was like, is that gonna be his wife? And then she's not.
that was so good. It's like and then I love also her backstory. She's like, I'm a nun, I'm a nanny. It's like I could never marry because I'm a nun now. I'm like,
I know. I was like,
that's
what?
oh my God, that was like so hilarious. And then his wife is played by Ego Wodum, who's of course on SNL, which that's a cool, so many great SNL cameos too in
Oh
that.
yeah, I love that. Like, I guess Kenan had a big hand in like just cast the. Oh my God, the "We Are the World" song, whatever, that was clearly parodying when celebs did that during COVID or whatever.
Yes. Oh my
And
God.
one of them
Yeah.
was Monique from the first one,
Yes, Shar
the
Jackson. I
actress.
didn't realize
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. That part was so funny to me. I was like, oh my God, this is such a specific thing that people maybe 20 some odd years from now won't even realize that that's like basically an homage to like celebrities singing Imagine during the
Oh
pandemic.
my God,
That was so
yes.
hilarious. Oh my God. And then just seeing the cameo of Danny Tamborelli made me
It
emotional because
was so
I was like,
sweet because I saw he
yeah.
went to like the premiere, so I was like, I hope he's somehow in it or even a blip. So
Of course, anything with the OG, all that folks, and especially, of course, Lori Beth Denberg as Connie Muldoon again. I was like,
classic.
this
She still
lady,
got it.
yeah. And like that's one of her, like when you think of Lori Beth Denberg, like personally, I think of like Miss Fingerly or what's the other one? I'm blanking on it. Um, the loud librarian, like stuff like
That
that,
was always
you
my
know?
favorite skit. I thought that was
Yeah.
just peak comedy back
One of
in the
my
day. Like,
I love that. One of my
and
favorites,
then oh, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, please.
The vital information.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
I saw a meme recently that said this is the only fake news we support.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Genius.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God. I loved, in terms of like Kenan, I always loved Miss Pidlin when like she
Yes,
gets
the
so
peas.
pissed, like wanted to feed people peas, and then they'd be like, no thanks. And then she'd be like shoveling the peas onto the tray.
And
And
then
then,
when the carrot lady
oh
would there was a
yeah, oh
couple
my God.
episodes.
But then also like the mechanism of like smoke coming out of her neck. Like that was
Yes.
hilarious. And then I always loved Super Dude. Like that was
Yes, a
amazing.
classic. Good
Oh
hair.
my God. And then of course, what was his name? Pierre Escargot.
Escargot.
That,
Yes.
oh my God, I loved
I
him
haven't
so.
read his book, but I saw he put on Instagram Kenan's like had a new book come out, and it was apparently like sharing stuff about his time in like Hollywood. And I guess Pierre Escargot was originally going to be Spanish. I think it was not what it was originally, and he said what the name was. I can't remember, but I thought that was interesting. The change that was made.
I didn't know that. That is cool. I mean, I love the French accent though, anyway, so I guess
Exactly. I'm glad. I mean, I'm kind of glad it changed just because it just worked. I don't know with the bathtub. It all just fit perfectly.
yeah, and those flippers, like that
Mm-hmm.
laugh. Oh my, it's like, oh God. Still hilarious, like 30 some odd
Exactly.
years later. Still
Oh
funny.
yeah. The loud librarian just that still just kills me. It's so simple, but just genius.
And then, but like, I think it always ends the same way where people, they would just like leave then. They're trying to like legitimately study and stuff. And she'd be like blaring the air horn and
Or like
quiet,
vacuuming or hitting like a gong. And
blender and stuff. Yeah, a
yep.
lot going on. The little library. Oh my God.
Well,
So
and also I'm so glad Josh Server had a scene as
yeah,
Fizz.
that worked out.
Like how they wrote him in was great.
That was so good. Poor Fizz had been locked in the freezer for 20 some odd years. Oh my God.
Right. And he like on I mean like they all like aged like fine wine, like they didn't really age, but like he really had to do a double take, and I was like, did they like de-age his face? But no, that's just him.
Honestly, I know like they're all like in their mid 40s, whatever, but Kenan and Kel too, like they all look amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everyone's everyone has that good skincare routine. I don't know, but everyone looked great.
it's so good because yeah, that's what's amazing always, like when they could just fall back into their characters. So of course, Kel as Ed and just like doing that voice and like for me, like as soon as he came on screen, my face just lit up. I was like, oh, there's Ed. Like, you gotta love him. This, oh
Well, and I
man.
love that they opened with like the talking burger and stuff. Because I watched the second one with my boyfriend who loves the original, and he, I guess, forgot that that's how the original opened because he's like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "Don't you remember?" I said there wasn't a musical number; that was the new thing. And then he remembered, like the fake fan. But yeah, I just was so glad that that's how they decided to open, like with the dream and all that sequence. I was like, this is it. Like, shout out to the writer.
Well, that's the thing too, because it's the same writers from the first one. It's Kevin Kopelow and Heath Seifert. And Kevin, I don't know if you remember, Kevin was like the guy who'd walk in on all that being like 5 minutes.
The 5 minutes
Yeah,
guy. Yes,
5 minutes.
I
Like I
love
was
it.
like, this so funny. Yeah. So that's just goes to show that they're so like in tune still with the rapport between Kenan and Kel because like, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
like I mean, I to do these type of like sequels or reboots or whatever. Like, I think it only works if you have like the original, as many like of the original cast and staff as possible. I think that's why these just do better, in my opinion, because it's you have that rapport and like. But when you cast like 100% new people, it's like, the nostalgia is not there like it was with Good Burger 2.
Then it's like you might as well just make something new.
Exactly, like make it its own thing. Why does it have to that's why like the iCarly reboot, they mostly was the same cast like that. It just I think it performs better. So
Definitely. And they had cameos too, a bunch from like the original series, like
exactly,
Benjamin
yeah,
Franklin. Yeah, So
which is a
well,
smart way to do it because I'm sure like these cameos they're like, yo, we can't commit to like 9, 10 episodes a season, but will pop in once.
Right.
Like the kid who plays Neville, he popped
Yes.
in a few times, and it's just great for like diehard fans of the original show or movie, in my opinion, to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why for me it worked well with this movie with having that new cast for the new employees. I thought that was cool. Like those
Yes.
twins were so like creepily in sync with like my God, they were really
And then there
funny.
was like a third one at the very end, right?
Yeah, the triplet, and then like his brain exploded. Ed was like,
Have you seen those actresses or anything else? They looked familiar, but I didn't know why.
nothing I could think of off the top of my head. Maybe I'm not sure offhand. I'd have to see.
I didn't think they were like part of like the SNL squad. So, but yeah, they looked I don't know, they just looked familiar. I don't know if they looked like someone else or I had seen them in something, but
It says they were
I thought
played
they
by
were perfectly creepy, hilariously.
it says they were played by Emily Hinkler and Elizabeth Hinkler. And then
Okay.
Emily played Cindy and Lindy, and then Elizabeth was Mindy. Also, then the third triplet wasn't actually
Okay, I
okay.
was curious because I was like, if they are triplets, then one triplet just kind of didn't get to really be in the movie. But
That would be funny. My favorite bit with them was when all of a sudden you see their boyfriends who are also twins, and then they're like, "So this is how
yes,
we met." So these two hotties walk in, like they're saying the same exact story in unison. Like this is so creepy but hilarious. Like, oh my
and
God.
I've seen stories of like twin females marrying twin males. Like that's a thing.
Really? What do they have like kids who look alike? That's
Yeah, and
wild.
like apparently the kids, it's like their cousins, but there was like one story where they're cousins, but they were also another relation to. I don't know, it was on People Magazine or something. But yeah, so that is a thing that happens.
Oh my
As
God.
strange as it looks, like identical, not just like fraternal, but
That's wild. That's so odd because oh my God, I don't know. That just was so funny. And then Mr. Jensen, who's just like the teenager boss, but like that was interesting. That
yes.
kid, like that was good. And then you have the really elderly employee when she was driving, and then I think Kenan as Dex was saying, "Oh, we're letting her drive," and then they were saying, "Well, yeah, she couldn't make the delivery or something like that." I forget what it was now. And she's just like driving along, and they're just like whatever. Oh
I love
gosh,
it was like the female version of Otis from the first one because that
yeah.
actor had passed away. And I thought, and like they had the nice pictures on the walls of like some of from the first movie, but of two, I think two or three of the actors have since passed away, and he was one of them. The other one was like Spaz, the guy with the spatula from
Oh,
the first
okay.
one. I think he has passed away, but like they had their photos on the wall in like a couple of scenes, which I thought was nice.
I know there were like just enough callbacks to the original, but then obviously this just very much stands on its own. Like you don't have to have
Oh
seen it
yeah.
first. Yeah, which is like really good to have
Yeah.
watched
Well,
this.
and like in the chemists, Kenan Kel haven't really done anything this in depth. I mean, I know they've done a couple skits on like Fallon and stuff, but in a long time, and they still got it. Like I'm sure it probably felt like just riding a bike. Like they didn't forget their chemistry. So um, it was just fun to watch because it really. I mean, yeah, they looked a little older, but other than that, it was like you were just watching them like you used to back in the day.
I know they really are just such an iconic comedic duo. What's nice too is they said after that this movie came out, and this was actually produced under Keenan's production company. He has like a new production company. I saw an
Oh,
article
good
about
for him.
yeah, because like you said too, he has the memoir now too. So obviously they have other projects. Kel too is an author. He's had a couple of books,
Oh,
and
he
he's also
has. I didn't know that. I'll have to look that
yeah,
up.
he did one about living like a blessed life or something. I forget what it's called. Something with like blessed life or something. And then
Yeah,
the kid's book. But yeah, so that's really cool.
good
And
for. It was funny because I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Kenan, but I have met Kel and I interviewed him back in the day, and I had explained to him because I mean I still am, but I was obsessed with Kenan Kel like from 6 years old. Like that was my ride or die. And since I'm a product of the 90s, like we had episodes recorded on VHS tapes and stuff, and I'd play them in the car on long road trips. And I would ask like how much longer is it to take to get to where we need to go? And my parents started telling time by Kenan and Kel. So they'd be like one Kenan Kel, which would be half hour, two Kenan Kels would be an hour. And that's honest to God, my family told time for a little bit, and we still will joke about that. I had told him that when I interviewed him, and he thought that was really like cute and stuff. But yeah, I'll still think, oh, it's two Kenan Kels until this or whatever.
I love that. That's so amazing. Oh my God.
So yeah, and I have Kenan Kel shoes. I got them off this like shady website that doesn't exist anymore. So it's a miracle that they ever arrived, but they did. And it's like the Kenan Kel logo, like printed on like Converse knockoffs. And so of course I wore those shoes when I met him because I'm like, God, this is my moment. And I like have a photo of me like with the shoes like propped up on like a table or something. But that was like I could die happy. Like that was such a childhood dream because I loved Kenan and Kel, but I loved Kel. Like I was so jealous of the sister on the show, Kenan Kel, because she always had to hug Kel and like kiss him on the cheek. And I was like, why can't that be me?
Ira. Yeah. Oh my God. That's so cool. Wait, did you have him sign the shoes?
I should have, but I wore them. I still wear them. So I was like, it's not gonna it would get ruined. So no, I didn't. But the photo I have is like he's pointing at them like I'll never take a better photo than that one.
That's so cool. No, because I mentioned last time you were on the podcast when we talked about Zoe 102 that Kel was your first celebrity crush, right?
Oh my God, yes, yes. Oh, I was in love with him. And I mean, I still am. He looks the exact same. The man just does not age, as neither does Kenan. But yeah, like I always had a thing for, I guess, guys wearing backwards hats. I don't know why, because that's usually like, like F boy material. But he on Kenan Kel, a lot of times he wore his hat backwards, and that just did it for me. Let me tell you. And one of his hats had like a pair of eyes on the back, so it looked like it was in the front. Like, and I don't know, I thought that was cool. I loved the color orange and orange soda, so that that it didn't take much. I loved him
I love
very
that.
much.
I know
Yeah,
I had a crush on Kel from like Kenan and Kel too. I was like, yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, despite him being so like goofy and like getting into such shenanigans, like,
I know.
that's
Apparently, my mom told me she was like, I was concerned when you said how much you loved Kel just because he was kind of dumb and just didn't make the best choices. And but it's all good.
really that's like the bread and butter, honestly, of like Nickelodeon shows with dumb characters, like, and but like to an extent too, because like Ed obviously, he has his moments, but like mostly what shines about Ed to me as a character is just like his positivity, honestly, like despite his like,
Oh yeah,
questionable intelligence, but yeah, which is sweet. Yeah.
nothing phases him. Which I'm just like, oh, I need me some of whatever that juice he's drinking. I need some of that. Well, like he doesn't want to like he's happy where he is. He doesn't want to sell Good Burger. It's a whole, I mean, even though he's clearly doing well, somebody has to afford those 7 kids or however many kids he had. I don't know. I just love that he's like, no, I don't need to be quote unquote better. Like I like what I'm doing now. I like where I am. I'm happy here. And I thought that was like a nice message to share as well.
I know that's why it's interesting then when Dexter kind of manipulates him for kind of his own personal gain, because we see Dex at like his low point of literally losing everything. He loses his house, like he blows up his house
With
with
Mark
like
Cuban on.
yeah, that's wild. So like, oh my goodness. So it's like, he's trying to make amends then with his sister too, because he had a falling out with her basically. And then the niece too is like angry with him. So that's an interesting arc for him too. I found that
Well, it was
interesting.
interesting that they gave him a sister because I was like, where was the sister in the first? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think there was a mention of her. And I also found interesting that they were all that he was just Dex in this one, but it was always Dexter. So I don't know if he like, when he grew up, he's like, oh, I gotta shorten my name, like Billy to Bill or something. I just thought that was interesting that they shortened it because I feel like they said Dexter a lot more in the first one, but maybe not. But
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, because his company was named, I forget now, Dexstream or something, right? So
yeah, something
kind
like
of
that, like a
maybe
cute,
he,
like a pun kind of.
yeah, so I guess he tried to like rebrand himself, but yeah, so that's why it's interesting how like he's trying to like make some money back again. So then like he unknowingly then screws over Well, he knows what he's doing though, but then like they all get screwed over, they all get fired. Which that kind of was wild to me. I was like, wait, so you didn't read the contracts? Like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was like, what? Do not trust the shady man with the pen.
right. Oh gosh. Like, oh boy.
And
But
isn't the guy who was like, who tricked him into signing? Wasn't that guy in Get Out? I think his name's Lil Ray Howie, but
I
I
think yes,
I
yes, you're
think that
right.
was because I was like, oh, I loved him in Get Out. He was so adorable and stuff. And then I was like, no, he's mean, and then in Good Burger too.
But then he gets screwed over too by which
Mm-hmm.
I loved that reveal that the character played by Jillian Bell. What's her name? I don't, I'm whatever her name
Um.
is.
Oh my God.
Wait, I gotta,
I'm
well,
blanking on.
where is it here? Something with
It
a
was it.
K
Yeah,
also.
because it was Kurt. It's the
Right, that just was
brother.
a great reveal that she was like the sister. Oh my gosh, why
Because
can't I find
I was wondering if they were gonna bring Kurt back, and like he, not the actor, but they did have a photo of him recent, like at the towards the beginning or something, kind of recapping the events of the first one. So I was like, okay, well he made it back in for a hot second, but
because then he went to prison, they said.
yep, and I guess he's still there.
That's wild. Oh my gosh. The character's name is Kat Boswell, it says. I didn't remember
Okay,
Boswell.
I didn't remember. No, I didn't remember the last name, but
Yeah.
yeah. So and she was great, like perfect, like vengeful family member who was wronged.
Well, what was exactly because what was so funny too is like when she turns around, she's like, finally we meet, and then they're both like, we have no idea who you
Yeah,
are. Like, that
I
was
was.
good.
That's what I
I
was
was
like.
like,
I don't remember this girl.
yeah, I was like, are we supposed to know who this is? That was a great joke. Like, too. Oh my God. So many great bits in
I
this.
well, and I think it might have been during that scene where like it's classic Ed like not understanding what words people are saying, and he kept saying like ding dong and like it just kept going, and I was like, was that scripted? Because that was beautiful.
They said because I was like checking out some interviews then too. They said they had room to improvise, so I'm sure they did like a bunch
Okay,
of
that's
yeah.
yeah,
I know I
but
loved that too. That whole bit, ping pong, kick
pong and
pong.
ding dong and yeah, like that, and then there was a line um towards the beginning where Kenan's talking with his niece and he's like, oh, I'm a big businessman. And he's like just saying all these business words. And his niece calls him out on it. She's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just saying, words that have to do with business. He's like, no, I'm not. Recession. And that just made me laugh out loud because that was classic Kenan. And anytime Kenan did like the thing with his eyes, like he's looking around, that like classic comedic trait he has. It was just beautiful. It was so much fun to watch them again.
I know it just kind of like obviously it's the nostalgia of it too, certainly. And like when they made the callback to or like the reference to I sure do love orange soda, and then Ed too was like I do. Ooh, I was like, ah, that just like filled my heart
That
with
was beautiful. I love that they worked that in because that was obviously a Kimball from Kenan Kel thing, not a I love that they did that. There was a lot of good Easter eggs that they tossed in for like diehard fans that like people who I guess didn't watch the first one. I don't know why you'd watch the first one, not the second one, but they may not get.
I know. I rewatched the first. I wasn't planning on. I was like, let me rewatch the first one, and there were stuff I had forgotten, like scenes and stuff I had completely forgotten in the first one. Like I totally forgot at one point, which feels like such an all that thing when they dress up as women to infiltrate
Water, ooh,
Burger.
water, ooh, water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I was like, I totally forgot this for some reason. It's hilarious. Oh my
Well,
God.
and then like the random dance number at Demented Hills, which Demented Hills was in the in the second movie. It was like paid for by Demented Hills. It was like on screen for a second on a building. Because I pointed it out to my boyfriend because I was like, that was the name of the insane asylum or whatever.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that up. I would have forgotten. Yeah, because I did remember seeing that. I was like, oh, that's a cute little Easter egg.
Yeah, right. Like diehard fans of the first one will catch it, but anyone else is kind of just gonna not really register. There was a scene though, in the second one, and I really thought they were gonna reference it. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't, because like Kel's reading, I don't know if it was the contract or something, and he's like, oh, and he's like saying words, and I thought he was gonna say like he does in the first one, I know some of these words, but he didn't. And so I'm like, they set that up perfectly, and why didn't they do it? Because that's such a classic like meme gif. I've seen it in all kinds of forms online. Like, did you think that too when you saw that
I
scene?
I did. I was like, oh, that's a missed opportunity there. I was like,
Hmm.
just to be like, I know more of these words, like just something to be like,
Right. And
yeah.
I wonder if like they filmed a take with it and they just like, then they just used a different one instead. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm gonna tell myself because I was like, somebody had to have caught on to that.
Totally.
But
That's a
yeah.
perfect opportunity right there. Because what Kel said too, he said in interviews that he did like each take he would do something different. So in terms of like getting back into the physicality of
Hmm.
Ed, he said what I thought was cool. So like he had to kind of he took what's the actor's name? So Ed 2, who played his son, Alex Hibbert, who played Ed 2, his son. He said he kind of like took him under his wing and taught him about the mannerisms of Ed and like how to walk as Ed and like inflections as Ed. I thought, oh, that's so cool because he nailed it. So
Yeah, and that kid did great. So the School of Ed paid off.
honestly, like we could use that because Ed, like again, like he's so positive. He kind of like in hindsight now, it kind of reminds of like SpongeBob in a sense, that innocence,
Yeah.
maybe a combination between SpongeBob and Patrick because the dumbness, but
Right. And
funny.
a little bit of Hey Arnold, or Arnold Shortman, because he's positive, just not like bouncing off the walls positive.
Good point, honestly, yeah. But I loved with Ed too. One of my favorite bits was like he had the my fry brows. That was
Oh,
funny.
instead of the grapes thing, yes.
Yeah. So the grapes thing was so like, just like that's like
It's
gross.
so gross, no matter how many times I watch it.
And I loved the whole bit when he's like, I'm going home. And he walks out, he comes back in, Mom, I'm home. I was like, so ridiculous. Like this kid, literally mini Ed, so hilarious. Oh my God. I loved that. That was so dumb.
Their
But
whole house, I was like, I love that. Like, there was like a cheeseburger lamp and like a French fries, some other furniture thing, like genius.
you're right, like the decor of it. That just reminded me. So with the whole house and like the visuals of like the cheeseburger bed and like the wallpaper on the walls, there was one point in the movie where I don't know if this was intentional, but to me it stood out when Kenan was like being like, "What are we gonna do?" And like he's at the kitchen island, and then he knocks something over, and he's like, "Oops." For some reason in my brain, like seeing that, it reminded me of Kenan on all that when he would do the cooking with Randy with the chocolate.
Yes,
I was
yes.
like, this seems like maybe that's a stretch, but to me, it seems like just a visual homage to that. I don't know, but it just reminded me of it, I guess, in any case.
I could see that. I didn't catch that when I watched it, but I could totally see that. It makes sense to me.
I know because, and then what was funny to me too, then, so then when I want to keep wanting to say Kel, when Ed was like playing this game that like, well, you have to, what's it? You have to like, tick all these bunnies until they blow up. I didn't
Oh,
realize,
yes.
and then like he's doing that later to basically like make the system go crazy, so, which is like clever, but I didn't realize that like that's like what the game is, not like what he thinks is, because really like you're blowing them up, but to him it's like, oh, you tickle them until they like, so like in his
Right.
innocence again, I was like, this is interesting the way Ed's mind works, I guess is my point with all that.
I just can't believe how in this economy Ed has a huge house, a successful business, a bajillion children. And I was just like, good on him.
He's still, and then like the beloved burger mobile gets blown to smithereens. Like I was like,
Oh my
no.
god! And also, I love that they made it like a convertible because I was looking, I was like, that's not how it was in the first one, right? But
Because
it looked great.
the iconic French fry windshield wipers, I was like, I love that. Like that
Oh
alone was
yes,
like amazing. Like I love that. Did you see too that Kenan and Kel were on like a Good Burger Mobile float for the Macy's Day Parade on
yes,
Thanksgiving?
I did see that.
I
Yes,
love
which
that
is
too.
so smart promotion, by the way, but also like that was just really special.
I know. It was just again seeing them together again and just like that rapport they have with each other. And I'm excited too. They said that they plan on still collaborating on other projects with each other because they're already teasing. People are already saying, "Oh, Good Burger 3," like maybe. So
It's like,
hopefully,
let's not wait another like 20 something years.
exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's funny. So I guess we'll see where that goes. But I'd love to
Well, it
see.
wouldn't surprise me since they made, I'm assuming, tons of money since it was like their number one original Paramount Plus show or
I know I
movie.
love that. I'm like, that's good. Like we want to see more of that. I would love to see some kind of maybe if they do a new project together, like something that'd be cool for them to collaborate. I guess we'll see down the line if they work on new stuff.
There was I just remembered this, the yo-yo. I love that
Yeah,
that was referenced because that was one of my favorites, like scenes, moments in the first one, and it was, it happened quickly and then it kind of goes away. But I'm really glad that they brought it. They referenced it.
That's one of like the rare emotional grounded moments in terms of the first one, in terms of like all the wackiness and fun of that one. But that's like a rare moment when Dex, I guess I'll call him Dex for the sake of whatever,
Well,
or
that's
Dex,
what I guess he
whatever.
goes by now. But
Yeah, that like, when he opens up about like his dad never being around and then he always wanted that yo-yo and that Ed gets it for him. That's very, like, honestly, very touching too. And that he had it all
yeah,
these years, very sweet. And
well,
then
that
when,
was also a pretty real moment for the first one. Like his dad left. Like that was, I mean, it was a little not dark, but it was, not happy-go-lucky. Everything's perfect, in everybody's life, which I thought was interesting that they included that in the original. Because right, did he die or did he leave?
he just said he left, so I guess,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I always wanted that. I wanted to find that type of yo-yo or whatever that they, with the red and blue lights and the whistle sound.
I know. I was never good at yo-yoing. Were you? That's
I had a small phase where I could do like the walk the dog and like the cradle, and that was the extent of my career and yo-yoing.
that's not bad. I could do a little bit of like getting the yo-yo up and like just like just very basic, but then it wouldn't last long, but just like a little bit. I feel like
Did you ever watch? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was like, I feel like I did have some kind of light up yo-yo because I feel like I remember like just a yo-yo spinning with green lights. It's just like coming back to me now. But anyway,
You need to hop on eBay.
yeah, right. Like, man, this
There was a. Did you ever watch Recess?
not really, to be honest.
there
I don't think
there
that
was like
Disney
one
Channel.
episode where like the girl Gretchen, like, I don't know, apparently is very good at yo-yoing, and she did this like trick, which is like there's no way someone can actually do that, but it was called like the Invisible Man, and you're using two yo-yos, one for each hand, and like you hit the back of a shoe to make it look like it's walking. And I was like,
Oh,
this is, but it was a pretty cool trick. I mean, it's animated, so like, they could do whatever they wanted. But yeah, that was a trick I wanted to do as a kid. And then I realized that's really not a thing that didn't work.
that sounds cool though. Because all that kind of stuff, what I liked too about this movie is that like it feels it felt like a good blend between like it could fit in the 90s, but yet it feels so timely of this era, like especially talking about AI and stuff. So like I felt like
Yeah.
like it's very much modern in that sense, and yet it still has like that feel of how they were in the 90s in terms of the comedy bits, I guess. So like it's a very good balance. I really liked that. It's like this just holds on its own again, like just even without the first one, which is hard to do.
Right. Well, and also like, um, for modernization of it, when they, depending on who their guest stars were, like they had Young Gravy randomly out of nowhere, and then Liza Koshy had a small role as like one of the control people. And so that was kind of fun to see, because we'll look back in another 20 years and we'll be like, oh, these are who the big celebs were of that time. um
True. Because you're right, because I forgot Liza Koshy then she was the host of like the rebooted Double Dare, which was
Yeah, she
funny
was.
too.
You're right. You're right. So it was because I saw she was in like the first scene, but she didn't really even talk, and I was like, "There's no way they brought this girl on, and she's not gonna have any lines. That doesn't make any sense." But then later, she had a little more of a role.
That Yeah, she was like, "Oh no, I'm out." That just reminded me too, like when the twins, which was clever too, they had the one walk in saying like she got exposed to some whatever it was,
Oh,
and
that
I
was
don't know what
cool. Yeah.
that was very clever looking like she's just like got this whole reaction to whatever it was and like oh gosh that was funny like basically all them I like that whole thing them banding together and like infiltrating and like having the fake Ed robot which was funny and ridiculous and like the security guard being like oh this looks so real and like
It took me a second to realize, because he was really making some great robotic movements. Like it took my brain a second to realize, no, that's an actor doing that. They didn't just make an Ed robot.
Yeah, because I guess whatever like makeup they put on him to make him look synthetic, kinda, but then like the robot voice that he's doing, which is so funny. It was so funny too, which was like another cute callback in a way, was like when she orders her meal and then he's like, that'll be $8, because it was always $8. That'll be $8.
Exactly.
But like, nowadays that would be like $16, I believe.
Exactly. So it was like, okay, good to know that at least inflation didn't hit that food industry.
I'm like, that's an amazing deal for, burger, shake, and fries. Like, fast food, but
Right.
still.
It's like they don't even have the dollar menus anymore for most places.
It's like, I know everything's just, oh my gosh, but the food does look good though. Like, the good burger.
Right.
I know they had paired up them with Arby's to have, which I'm surprised they didn't do like Burger King, I guess whatever, like to pair it up to like, promote the movie, like having like
Oh, they did?
they had a meal, like a Good Burger 2 meal from Arby's. I didn't try it, but they had like the burger, fries, and shake.
Oh, that's
Did
cool.
that.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, I missed that. Yeah, Burger King would make more sense, but maybe they didn't want to, and Arby's was willing to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I wonder why, but I guess because what would they do exactly? I guess really all you need is like the Ed's sauce, which, that's
Yeah, which who knows? And I'm surprised they still didn't reveal like what all was in it. Like we know like 3 ingredients or whatever from the first one, but then they don't, right? Or am I wrong?
I know he always mentions, I think, lemon juice, and I want to say salt and ketchup.
Yeah,
lemon
I
juice,
remember the
know.
ketchup, but then that was then like he would always get like attacked and like stop talking.
Yeah, you're right. That's the part when he's making the sauce and he's like, "Oh, here, Ed, look at this contract. Oh, I know some of these words. I love that's
Exactly.
like
Oh,
that's one of the best
classic.
bits. That and the bit when they first meet in the first one. He's like, "You look familiar. Did we meet? Ever been to Australia? No, me neither."
Me.
Like, what? Where's the? I love that in the first one.
Well, and the one of the lines at the end where like where Ed's like, "Is it because I'm black?" And then Dexter's looking. He's like, but you're
I love that. That still makes, oh my God,
such a beautiful line. Like,
it's so good. It's like so sincere. It's like, oh my
right?
God. Oh
Like
my
how
God.
he didn't like to start cracking up laughing is beyond me. But
Exactly. Oh my God, so amazing. Like the joy that these characters bring. Because obviously this all stemmed from that Good Burger sketch and all that. And what Kel has said too in interviews that it first started with like the voice, and he said like first it was like a pizza delivery guy, so like with that Ed,
yeah,
and then he found the wig, and then it became that character for that sketch for Good Burger, which is so cool hearing how
it's
that was.
just the how the wig made it because it wouldn't work with any other hair.
It's so true. It's just something about like just like the like the dreads and just like he could like shake it and like it's just like moving,
It's like
It's
its
so
own
funny.
character, to be honest.
And then again, like how all the kids have that same hair. It's like
Yes,
beautiful. Like this whole time, Ed must have just like, had that hairdo from when he was like a 2-year-old or something, like I'm sure he
like
just
that's
had it
just
all.
how he came into the world was full head of hair.
I
Uh,
love that's so hilarious too. Oh my God. It's like amazing. And
well, and I was surprised Sinbad wasn't in it because he played the teacher. But then I saw in the credits he was in it, but he was the voice of like I guess the competing burger, like the announcer or something. Like he
yeah,
had like he had a voiceover part, like not as himself as I don't know something else. But so I was like, okay, well he was in because like when like Dexter burns his house down, it would have been really funny if it had been his like that guy's
oh my God,
house.
you're right. That would have been amazing. It would have been like, really, you destroyed my car, and now you owe me.
Exactly. And like
That would have been clever. Yeah. Oh,
the
that's
line
great.
that Sinbad says in the first one, I still quote this where he's like he said, I'm gonna go to have lunch at Mondo Burger. He's like, home of the big booty burger, home of the big booty burger. And I don't know, it just cracks me up. I still like say it to this day.
I love that this stuff is just still so hilarious. Like, even we were as kids with the first one, but did you see the first one in theaters, by the way, or no?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Because it came out in 97, so I would have been 5 or 6, depending on the month. I don't think I did, but I mean, I just remember I watched it all the live long day. I'm pretty sure I had to have had it on VHS. Um, so yeah, I really don't think I saw it in theaters.
I
But
didn't
I don't.
either.
Yeah, I wish I had, but I do. I mean, I remember like from age like 5 or 6, like I was very ingrained with Kenan Kel and like could quote the whole anything in all the episodes I'd seen. So Good Burger kind of fell into that as well.
Yeah, I know because there's so many, honestly, like still to this day, iconic characters on all that. Like for me, in terms of Kel's characters on all that, my favorite personally is Coach Cretin. Like
Oh yes.
that poor miserable man when he's like, "Oh, the life I live is sad," and he always gets like so brutally injured, and then he'd be like, like he'd like laugh and be like good, like enjoying people's misery. Like that character is just unbelievable. He's so hysterical. Oh my
I
God.
was always partial to okra
Oh
when he
my
would
God, yes.
instead of Oprah.
Like I feel like at one point like his wig would come off and then like he'd like fix the wig and be like, well,
Right.
I was like, oh my God, that's okra. Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh.
That one was fun. And then the repairman, man. Classic.
The impetus for all these characters is that like they're terrible at their jobs. Like even Ed, at least like he's friendly and stuff with the customers, but then like he's always like even in this movie when he's like, oh, I could serve anything. He's like literally serving the
Yes, that was a great joke. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised that one wasn't in the first one. Like that was great.
anything like taking it literally. Also, another great callback to was when he's like using the plunger. It's like, oh, I'm just unclogging the strawberry
Oh
jacuzzi.
yes.
That
I'm
was
glad the
so
strawberry jacuzzi made a reference.
yeah, I loved that. And then Dex is like, that's the like, we use that to unclog the toilet. No. The no
Right.
always gets me. I love just
Perfect.
so simple, but just no, like holding the plunger. It's so dumb, but amazing. I'm
It's the
like,
best like reaction to say when you just don't really know what to say back.
it's so good. I know. Oh my God. Also, that whole bit when he has the bowling balls on his hands, like stuck in his hands, and he's like, oh, can you find
Oh,
my
I
keys
forgot
for me?
about that with like the two like goons trying to like,
Yeah.
take him
And
out
then
or
like
whatever.
they were trying to get him to sign the contract, and then they're literally like, okay, well, how about you give me an autograph? And then it's like, okay, well, I'll hold your bowling ball. It's like so the logic is amazing with Ed. I
And
can't.
it just and then like, Ed is like at the end he like saves the day and does all this like kind of coding-esque stuff with the bunny game and it's like, this is why he made his millions. Somebody has money because that house was great.
The only thing that would have put the house over the top is if like the house itself was like burger shaped, like
Right.
like that's what you need. But like everything interior is just like, oh, it's amazing though. Oh,
The prop department had a field day decorating that.
exactly. And it is so fun. It's like, like what a fun house must be to live in, about like chaos, but like because like they even like when they're just like he's gonna go to bed and then they're like, you want to have a pillow fight? He's like, you want to have a pillow fight right now? And like the kids were gonna like they had like their pickle,
Oh yes.
ready they're so cute. Oh my gosh, they're so adorable.
um like in the first one, they have like, oh, we got to deliver a meal to Shaq, and then this one it was like, it wasn't Lizzo, but it clearly was, but it was Nicole Byer, right, playing
Oh
the
yeah.
I think
Mhm.
so, because I love her and she's hilarious, so that was fun to see her, because I was like, is Shaq gonna be in this one too?
You're right. I know. Yeah, that was so funny in the first one with Shaq. And then yeah, so it's Nicole Byer as Luna Fox, the character's name is, but yeah,
Okay, yeah.
clearly a parody of Lizzo. Yeah. That's funny too, because then another like through line in this movie, which we touched on, was Dex trying to like repair his relationship with his sister and then subsequently his niece. And like he's like, oh, I'll take a
Hmm.
picture of you with my niece, like right now, So that's nice. He's like trying, but it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, literally right now, and
Yeah,
and
like
it's like,
delivering. He's
well,
like, oh, you should have ordered more burgers, like in the middle of the concert. Like,
right on the stage. Does
yeah,
not say much for the security.
yeah, good point. Like, oh my gosh, that's wild. The other crazy thing too is so again, like with the Good Burger Mobile blowing up, but then eventually, then of course they get a new one, and then of course he barrels through it in the end, dead too. But when they're like in that self-driving car, another like self-driving car, like just like enjoying
Oh
one of
yeah,
two,
I forgot about that scene.
and they're like waiting for it to run out of gas, like they're going in circles, like literally, like just
Yes.
okay, like eventually,
I
like
mean, modern problems require modern solutions.
like yeah, oh my gosh, like wow.
They packed a lot in that one movie.
They really did. I loved also the other, God had the dance sequence again too, was great. Like what they're at that party, that was fun.
Yes, and I was like, that's clearly like a reference to the Demented Hills
Yeah, that's
music session.
because that whole scene, it goes from like, like high to low, where then they find out that they're all getting fired and first they're getting raises, and then they even like to have that more serious moment when Ed gives him the picture of them. He's like, here, you can have this picture. It doesn't bring me happiness anymore. That's like when you disappoint Ed, you
Yeah, it's
up.
like, you messed up.
Yeah, like big time. Oh gosh. So then it's good at the end when when Dex like makes amends with his sister, who's Leslie Jones. That was a great cameo
Oh
too.
yeah, I was wondering who they were gonna get.
Mhm.
And love her. So that was great casting.
I know. I loved also the security guards. I know one was played by Ron Funches. He's like always so funny too. Ron Funches, that actor. And then the other security.
Is he on SNL?
No, he's not. Actually, the other person is. They're the first non-binary person on SNL. Their name's
Oh,
Molly
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kearney. Yeah, they were the other
Okay.
security guard.
I love the bumbling
Whatever it
security
was.
guards. Like I love that trope.
I know, right? Like just fooling that. Even like Kenan had his moments like wearing a mustache, like it's like, oh, we gotta deliver this robot right now. Like
Right. It was also interesting because like this one, like the first one had a couple of dark moments with like the shark poison and like was gonna like kill these two old ladies. And then I like the second one, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna try to murder anybody in this one.
that's so true because in the first one, the whole thing with Roxanne, because she's trying to get the recipe from Ed, and then she keeps like they're on that date, and then like she keeps
Mm-hmm.
gets knocked in the head with like the golf ball, like this poor, well, she gets like
Right.
knocked unconscious multiple times. Like, my God. So at least she forgave and forgot, I guess, because now
She
she's
like
doing any.
hobbles in like in crutches and all kinds of bandages. That's a real I think it's still open golf, like mini golf course. I think
Is it
somewhere in the LA area. You should go look and check it out because I've always wanted to go there,
real?
and I think it's still active. It was at one point, so who knows? But
Oh, I'll have to check
yeah,
it out.
I always wanted to go there.
It looks so much fun, honestly. Yeah. That's why I know, I think, I don't remember now, like a few years back, they had like a pop-up Good Burger store in LA.
I
I'm
remember
surprised they
that.
didn't-
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah, because I'm surprised they didn't do that for this movie, like have a pop-up like Good Burger. They should, I guess whatever for the sake of they couldn't, whatever reasons they,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I wonder if it would. Well, no, because I was like with the actor strike, but then they just wouldn't be there. They could still have the pop up. So no, I don't. I'm not.
Mhm.
I remember when they did it, and I didn't get a chance to go, and I was sad about that. So,
I know because I think Kel was there. I'm pretty sure at like some point, probably.
at one, yeah,
Yeah, to like hand out burgers to people, which is that's amazing. Oh my God.
right.
That's so cool. Yeah. But yeah, because I know they did like, for example, when they did like the Gilmore Girls reboot, they had like a Luke Steiner pop up. So they do that every now and then, which is a cool
Yeah, like
marketing
just
ploy.
clever. Yeah,
Exactly, because you get fans and then it's like good business, honestly, good marketing for yeah.
for real. I think people love a good pop up. So
Yeah, definitely. And it's fun because it's just like obviously it's like a temporary thing. So yeah, like get in on it. Well, even like with this too, like so in the universe of Good Burger too, I love that it's like the whole thing, it's like a thriving business, but Ed doesn't want to make it a whole franchise. And like there was that guy at the beginning doing like the food review, that like German guy. That was
oh, that guy. Yes, that was really funny.
he just was like so into it, and like the graphics were wild. And then there was that part with Ed with the sauce. It's like, I want it on the side. He's like, okay, which side? And he's like literally blasting him with the sauce. Like
Well, then
again,
at
making
the end
things
with
work.
the ketchup and the mustard, like that was in the first one too. Like when it's either Ed or Dexter who sprays cat at the end with like ketchup and mustard,
Oh,
I know there was like a scene where Dexter in the first one hits like two of the goons with that. So
oh
that
yeah,
was
you're
kind
right. That's another classic staple of like these Nickelodeon shows, and especially in all that of just making a mess, a total mess of the set of like anything, having
exactly
like actual food, it's like in these sketches. That's too funny. Oh
like
God.
they're missing slime and that's it.
Yeah, literally, because that just reminded me of like in like when they had which I know you mentioned this earlier too, like when they did that sketch a few years back on Jimmy Fallon, and
Mm-hmm.
it was Kel as Ed, and then Keenan walked in as like Lester Oaks construction worker.
Yes, oh
And
my gosh.
and he did, and I forgot Kel did the same bit with the grapes again too. I remember that he had
Oh,
them.
on that sketch, I'll have to
Yeah,
watch
because
it
and
again.
then people were like, but yeah, he just like I gotta respect that he commits to the bit with all this stuff.
He's in it to win it. So, and you can
But
tell they like doing this. They're not like doing it just for like a quick cash grab. Like it comes across very genuine, which I think is why people like the new movie so much.
that's a good point. Yeah, because it's just again, it's fun and joyful, and they're just clearly have they said like they were just cracking up in between takes and like getting to improv. So I'm sure it was an absolute blast for them.
Yeah, and like I like that, they kind of had like a little blooper reel during the credits, but they also included crew members too, which you never really see, and I really liked that aspect. They were like getting them in on like all the fun. It just looks like everyone had a lot of fun filming it. I mean, I'm sure there were long hour days and insanity, but it looks like everyone was just laughing constantly.
Exactly. That makes it more like, like a family. Like, yeah, they're working, but they're having fun. I know that's really
Exactly.
that translates on screen then for us as the viewers. So
Oh,
it's so
totally.
I know I love that. Yeah, because I remember on all that, like, because it just reminded me, like in one of the Good Burger sketches when it was Kenan and Kel, like Kenan as Lester Oaks, there was like one time when like he was like genuinely laughing in the sketch and they just left it in and like he's like was genuinely like breaking character. They both were laughing. I just remember that always like stood out to me even as a kid. I was like, oh, they're laughing. Like I remember that.
Oh, I love when they do that. It's always fun, like on SNL, when you see people like
Yeah.
breaking, and it's live, so you can't do anything.
The biggest one is that sketch with like Kate McKinnon and Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling, that's the
Yeah,
one I
like when
was.
they were
Yep,
kidnapped
the
or
alien
something.
one. Yep,
Yes, and like he's like genuinely like holding back tears, like laughing. It's like amazing. It makes it that much funnier. Like
exactly. And like she's not laughing, but you can tell she's like, "That's right, I did this." And
I love, yes, I love that. And like, props to Kenan. He's the longest running SNL player since 2003. It's over 20 years. I think that's
which
amazing.
is
Still going strong.
insane. Yeah, good
I
for
love
him.
that.
I really need to read his book because I think he has a lot of fun stories to share.
Yeah, totally. Did you read Josh Peck's book? It's really good too.
No, not yet. I want to.
Oh, it's really great too. He has like a lot of like humor in it, but like also life lessons that he learned. He opens up about things. It's really great. His memoir. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of good memoirs coming out. I don't know if that it's just that time, but but then it makes me feel old because I'm like, okay, well, they're maybe a little bit older than me, but we're around the same age, and it's like I have not done enough to have a a memoir yet.
That's the whole thing. It's like it's wild how like even with this, how it's been 26 years since the original, but then look how it's the number one movie on Paramount Plus. So like obviously people loved it, and it's like despite the nostalgia that like it found a new audience too with little kids. I think it's
Exactly.
really cool
Yeah.
and exciting because Kenan said his daughters loved it too, and like we're saying they're gonna watch it.
Oh,
That's so cute. Yeah, I was like, oh, I love
yeah. That's high praise because I think a lot of times kids are if they don't like it, they're gonna let you know.
honestly, yeah, they have no filter. They'll be like, this sucks, like whatever. They'll be like, this is
No sparing feelings. So
yeah, so true. So that's wonderful to hear that from what I've seen, it seems like it's resonating with fans of the original, but then also new generation. That's when hitting that sweet spot of fans from
exactly,
the
which is
old.
not easy to do, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
lots of projects have not performed that. So I'm really, and also the first one, yeah, it's what do you say, 26 years. It still holds up. Like, because also they didn't use like 12,000 CGI thing, or, like it just still holds up today.
I think honestly, the reason it holds up is simply because it's just the purity of comedy. Like it's not trying,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like still there's like messages in it, like something you could learn from it, so to speak. But generally speaking, it's like we're just here to make you laugh. It's just fun,
Right.
goofy, silly, wholesome humor. That's it. And it's just like ridiculous, but that's what it's like that's what in a way makes it timeless. So it's
Right. Just not taking itself too seriously. And I think the new one did a great job of that as well.
definitely, I know because I love Ed. He's an amazing character. And like, the relationship with Ed and Dex, because they're best friends too. That was interesting too. I found it interesting when they said that I hadn't seen each other for 5 years. I was like, well, I guess that's good they didn't say like 26 years, like, so they're seeing,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was clever too.
The timeline, at first I was like, are they just trying to act like this is 5 years after the first movie? Because I was like, no one's going to buy that. But then I realized I misunderstood. So I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It must have been like he had started his own business, Dex, and then, obviously he screwed himself over, but yeah.
And lost
So
his house. And
and Ed took him in. Yeah. So, oh gosh, but it just was very sweet. I'm trying to think if there's any other moments that I found. I mean, there were a lot of other ones I
yeah, I'm
like.
trying if there was like main
Yeah,
talking
like that
points.
was,
I feel like we hit, I'm sure there's like some I'm going to think about later, but I feel like we hit all the main Easter egg moments. And
I know, because the big thing really was just Ed having like the cleverness to, take down, like doing that basically with the computers to destroy the whole thing. And then seeing like the other eds, like with like the Japanese, like doing the accents, Texas, like all around the world, which is cool too. China, right? Like all
Oh,
the ed
oh
robots.
my gosh. Okay, I'm from Texas, and when they did the Dallas one, my boyfriend just looks at me and I'm like, that's not how we sound. We don't all wear cowboy boots and hats.
Oh my gosh, like right.
And I was like, how dare they?
Oh man, just like the broadest thing of it, right? Oh,
Exactly. I was like, okay, yeah, there are some towns in Texas, but not Dallas. I'm sorry. Dallas is very metropolitan.
oh gosh, that's so funny. That's so
I
ridiculous.
forgot about that. Yeah.
That was so, yeah, it was just like wonderful chaos with it too. And then like her, I forgot that just reminded me too. Then she like the bad guy, then the cat character, then she was like basically slimed too with, you're right, the ketchup and mustard. I forgot about
That's
that.
true.
That she was
Yeah.
hanging there. She's like, so they, oh gosh, she got her comeuppance too.
Mm-hmm. That's what you get.
Her ketchup. There's a pun in there
There's
somewhere.
a pun there. Yeah.
Condiment, whatever it is, but something, but that's too funny. And I love that how it just ends the same way, the classic, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? That's it. That's like
Yeah. It was a perfect, good closure ending, but also, smartly setting it up if they wanted to continue the franchise.
exactly. And it seems like, it did really well. So here's hoping. We'll see. Oh, that I just randomly remembered. The other funny thing was like Dex's idea to have ice that never melts. And then somehow Ed too was like, oh, well, I made it. It's like, no, like questioning it, just like you made, like, is he like a secret scientific genius, this kid?
Right.
That was great too. And then like they're selling it to Mark Cuban. It's like, how about 5 million for 50% or something? It's like, how about 10 million for 0%? Okay. Like what?
Oh yeah, and like I've seen some Shark Tank, and I was like, well, that was fun to very random, but that was fun to see.
That too, like him just poking fun at himself, Mark Cuban. I forgot also then there was a cameo with Al Roker. That was great too.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, they got some random but big name, celebs. Well, then most of it was in the Imagine parody. Like
even
I
right,
think
exactly. It's like
Chrissy Teigen was in it. I know
right.
everyone says Teigen, but I remember that one video where she's like, "It's Teigen." So now I'm like, okay,
You're right. That is too funny. So when she's like taking back her name, I guess, like the
yes,
pronunciation. That's too funny. And then Maya Rudolph was in that too.
yes, yes, yes,
That was
yes.
great. And also, I just remembered too, Pete Davidson as a cameo in the beginning was great too.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah,
I
that was
said,
good. He was
yeah,
like the perfect customer, like kind of straight man bit to Ed's like ridiculousness.
like yet another irate customer. He's like, I've been trying to wake you up for 20 minutes. Like I've been sleeping on the couch for 20 minutes, having his like, dreams as always of good. That's like, despite his family, like clearly the loves of his life, his family, his best friend, and Good Burger. That's it. Like, which is
Right? I don't know,
beautiful.
and maybe not necessarily in that order.
True. Honestly, it's so funny, but oh gosh, it's great. Oh my gosh, it brings so much joy. It really does.
Right. It was a great movie. You're anytime something like that comes out, you're always, or at least I'm always like, is it gonna be? And then I was really happy it was like worth the hype and just really fun to watch.
I agree. Just really fun start to finish. A lot of great laughs and very sweet and like the nostalgia. Yeah, I know. It like checks out.
Exactly. Yeah. Good nostalgia trip.
Rob Gronkowski too was funny. Like when Keenan's like spraying his burgers, like okay, I guess I'm done with that. Like whatever.
Oh yeah, because he was like trying to like eavesdrop and,
Yeah. Oh my
and
gosh.
like
Like
just missing everything.
just all these great bits. It just was really fun. So I don't know. I hope they do get to do more projects together. Keenan and Kel. Here's like,
Yeah,
finish
me
this
too.
thing.
Well, and I know they had like a little falling out back in the day, so I'm so glad like that's over and done with, and they're clearly like brothers for life. It seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's so true. Keenan actually he talks about that a little bit in his memoir. He says, I have to
Oh, he
look it up.
does. Okay,
Yeah, so that's
good.
interesting. But I know I'm glad too because just seeing them together just like fills this like,
Yeah, I was like, I can't have my boys fighting. No, I love
I
them
know.
too
Oh my
much.
God, so true. That just reminded me too. Did you see the sketch that they did, the Keenan and Kel sketch on SNL, which was great too, with Kiki Palmer? That was so
Yes.
funny. Like,
Oh
yeah,
my God. Yes.
they made it like a
Yes. I made my
gritty.
parents watch it. I was very excited.
I loved that too because they had like they had Chris, like not the same actor, but still like it was so
Yeah.
funny. And then Kiki Palmer, and then it just was ridiculous. They had Kel walk in, and then like they made like a gritty thing of him getting like it just was ridiculous. Like it's took a dark.
I gotta watch that again. I totally forgot they did that. And I love Kiki Palmer. Like that was perfect.
You know, she's like an amazing singer too. She sang at the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting. I was like, oh my goodness, she has a beautiful voice.
The most recent one that they just
Yeah,
had.
I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was like, wow, yeah. Which is
I know
really,
she's like a jack of all trades.
which is so cool. I know because she said like she was always a big fan of Kenan and Kel too. So you gotta love that, you know, that they yeah.
Well, I don't trust anyone who wasn't a fan, who like grew up in that time period and wasn't. So
Like, honestly, yeah. Well, that's amazing, like the power of their comedic duo that they then had the spinoff of Kenan and Kel, and then of course later the Amanda Show too. But you know, because like stemming from
yeah,
that, which is amazing. Yeah.
and I'd argue I feel like Kenan Kel kind of overtook in popularity all that, even though it was a spinoff. Like usually spinoffs don't like get as much enjoyment recognition from its audience, but I'd argue Kenan Kel kind of like overtook all that in the later years.
I think you're right. Because personally, for me, like when I think of Snick, which was like, you know, Saturday Night
Oh
Nick and
yeah,
I loved that back in the day. I always like Kenan and Kel is the show I most associated with.
same,
Yeah.
exactly.
I gotta love that theme song too, like R.I.P. Coolio too. Yeah, I love
Oh
that
my
theme song,
gosh,
you
yeah.
know? Even this too, like the whole that classic I'm a Dude too, like, you gotta love that song, like when they're playing over the crowd.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love that. I was like, they actually recorded this. Like,
It's
God bless.
it's beautiful. It just really is. We're all dudes. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was just I was just so happy that it was so fun and enjoyable to watch. I mean, I knew I'd like it, but it's hard to compare with the first one anytime they do like one of these reboots, but it was just really genuinely fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. That's all you can ask for just like this fun sequel to this beloved movie from years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, it like did what I wanted it to do, which is kind of how I
Mhm.
describe anytime I see a movie. So
Yeah, totally. It was a fun time. That's all like which is all you can ask for. It was a fun time.
so
But
petition for Good Burger 3
yes, let's go. And again, like you
on
said, hopefully,
change.org. We're gonna make
hopefully
it
not
happen.
well, yeah, because hopefully still with the iCarly reboot can get that.
Yes.
Need a resolution for that. But yeah, at least we'll see where this goes to with Good Burger 3. Hopefully not another 20 years, like you
Oh
said.
yeah, no.
Can't wait.
Kenan and Kel are still gonna look the exact same in 20
Honestly,
more
yeah.
years.
And Kel was so amazing, honestly. I don't know if you saw him on Dancing with the Stars. He was the runner-up on that season, but he was amazing on Dancing with the Stars a few years
Good
ago.
for him.
Yeah, like they're so freaking talented, honestly.
Yeah, like diamonds in the rough, both of them.
And they just seem like such genuinely nice, wonderful people just to
They
be
seem very
around.
down to earth. Like they come
Yeah,
across as like normal. And like I like when I had met Kel, like he was just so gracious, like very grateful to be where he was. I had no ego. I have like nothing but positive things to say. And I'm sure Kenan, I haven't met him, but I'm sure Kenan's the exact same way.
I know, absolutely. I know it's always so great. It's like, you know, how they say don't meet your heroes, but then that's wonderful.
Right. Their mothers raised them right, is all I can say.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. You know, so we have much love to Kenan and Kel. That's so
Yeah.
love them.
God
Love them
bless.
so
Yeah.
much. As always, Stacey, always such an absolute pleasure having you on. Feel free to share your social media, anything else you want to promote.
Thanks so much, Allie. It's always fun to, geek out with you about all our nostalgic shows and movies. You can find me on social media at Stacey, that's STACEY _Grant91 on Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff.
Twitter or X now, but yeah.
X, yeah, I forget.
So
we all know it's Twitter.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And we're all dudes. Hey.
Exactly.
And with that, that's going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. Be sure to check out storytellingsaga.com. And as always, feel free to send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by emailing me at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Until next time, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.
I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey! I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey! Jazzy!